On episode 23, I'm joined by twin brothers Javier and Gonzalo Tomas Borra. They are the co-founders of Logic Automation Supplies, which is a company based in southern Spain, Sevilla, where they supply spare parts and obsolete parts to companies all throughout the world. They work with household brands and help supply them with parts to keep their logistical processes moving. This podcast is one of my personal favorites because it goes beyond business. It talks about philosophy. It talks about life. It talks at its core about happiness. What motivates them? What keeps them going? They answer a question on how they would look to hire new talent and retain them. So if you're someone who wants to hear from two very, very successful entrepreneurs, not just on how they've got to where they're at today, but how they think about things, then this is a podcast you do not want to miss. Tune in.
As entrepreneurs, we all experience challenges in our business journey. I'm Testouri, and the Grappling Growth podcast is my attempt at documenting my entrepreneurial journey while building my brands. I sit down with fellow entrepreneurs, understanding how they grapple with growth. I hope you find value and enjoy.
Javi, Gonzalo, what does growth look like to both of you?
Sorry? Yeah. Hello, Joe. Thank you for having us. We're really excited. For me, growth, I'm going to answer a little bit philosophical maybe. For me, is to be happier each day, a little bit happier. Whatever happiness looks for you, I think that's 100% growth.
Okay. To me, it's not going to be such a philosophical answer. For me, business growth is really easy. It's just making users to become clients and clients to become repeated business sort of feeling.
I mean, it's fascinating, and Javi, you're by far the first person who's ever answered in that way. So I want to dig into that one a little bit more.
Yeah.
Why does growth look like happiness to you?
I think at the end of the day, first, I would say that happiness is very different to describe to every person. So you need to find your own happiness. For me, my happiness right now is what I'm doing. So it is business related, in this case that we're talking about. But happiness for someone else can be like, oh, I want to have a 9-to-1 job, and then I want to go and do sailing the rest of the afternoon, and that may as well be happiness as well. From my point of view, of course, I will second what Gonzalo said in terms of business related. Like you need to turn your users into clients.
So I just want to dig a little bit more into that, just because there might be some young people watching this podcast. They might be thinking, how does it look when you have a user? How does it look when you have a client? And how does it look when you have a repeated business? A user is the guy that basically comes for either the price or the speed. So I need something quick. It will be your convenience store, basically. That will be the sort of user. Your client is the guy that comes every day. And your repeated business is the guy that comes not just every day, but because they come due to a shared value or a shared value proposition.
So for you guys, what do you think is the key fundamental point an entrepreneur needs to look at in order to move someone from a customer to a client to essentially a stakeholder in your business?
I think from my point of view, I would say is trust. I think trust plays a really big role in business. Even when things go wrong, trust has to be like the main, like the key solid foundation of any relationship and of course of any business transaction. So the most trust your user has, they will turn into a client, and then it will turn into repeat this business. So for example, using the analogy that Gonzalo was using of the convenience store, the maximum point that you can get to a client within our business is a client that asks you beforehand, hey, these are the things that we're going to buy during the year. Please make sure you have a stock of those. Like that's someone that is clearly like, I'm not only using you as a supplier, but I'm also using you as a storage or as a, like, you have increased the value proposition a lot. And to do that, I think trust has to be in the main circle to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. And from our experience, at least, we've realized that trust can only be built focusing on what you're delivering. Most of the times, or at least it happened to us, when we started Logic, we focused on selling, on sales. Sorry. We tried basically to pick up the phone and start dialing every single number known to mankind, trying to sell something. Later on, we realized that even though we had a great sales pitch, we needed to have a proper value proposition in order to have repeated business, because otherwise we'll have to stay, both us and every single worker that we had, at the very least 2 or 3 hours every day on the phone and booking meetings and trying to get as many new clients as possible. For us, at least, it turned out not to be that profitable. It was way more profitable when we started on focusing what we were delivering, because as soon as you get a client, you have time enough to get another client and to grow in that way, in an organic manner.
How do you mean by delivery exactly?
Yeah, so focusing both on product and on values. For us at the beginning, the shipping was something that we didn't had a really good knowledge of.
Mhm.
So we basically ship in a pack. I don't know, in a box of a phone. We will ship a PLC, because basically we had literally no money.
In the box of shoes.
In a box of shoes.
We've done that quite a lot.
Yeah. So we just had to make enough money just to get by and to try to survive. And it got to a point that it was just like, Javi, what are we doing wrong? So we are doing the work, we're putting the effort, we're doing everything that we should do, everything that we learned at business school, and we realized, mate, we're great sellers, but do we have a great business? Do we have something that is actually valuable for our clients? And we realized that by that point, it wasn't that much valuable.
No.
So we started focusing on product. We started focusing on testing everything, on be secure, on be trusted, and on having way less clients, but way more active. And that was our, let's say, hit mark for us to just start growing and developing.
Yeah, I would say we had like a major change in focus, also in the amount of clients that we deliver. Obviously, I think maybe now we have the same amount of clients that we used to do like maybe 3 years ago, and we are a lot more people working. But it's just we have to treat every single client differently, and every single client has a completely different way to work. At the end of the day, we work with really large companies that have like completely different procedures, and we really need to adapt to them. The thing is that at the beginning, we were at the same speed that we were winning the first client, because things like we have fairly good salesmen, I think. If not, like people are really bad. But at the same speed that we were winning clients, we were losing other clients. So we had to focus. We had to focus on the clients that we actually want to work with, clients who share our values, clients that we actually get along. We spend a lot of time in the office. You may as well be dealing with people that you get along with.
Yeah, is it something that you found in your career as well?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I do, because I was the same way. When you first start out in your business, you will work with anyone and anyone. And that's the right approach, because fundamentally you need to sink your teeth into the market. You need to understand what you like. It's like going out and dating a girl. You can't just superficially look at a girl and say, I'm going to be attracted to her. And equally, if you're attracted to guys, then that's for you. But but it is a case of just on the eye. It doesn't mean that this person or this client is going to be a perfect fit for you. And we've all worked with arseholes in the past, and sometimes it's the Pareto principle. You might have one client that's taking up 80% of your energy, and then in turn, you have to get rid of that client because they are a drain on your resource, and you have to take a few steps back in order to actually leap forward within your business. You guys mentioned a few interesting points about being salesmen. Now, I know a lot of people who are fantastic salesmen, but I think there's a really hard line that we try not to toe, whereby we come across as too salesy. Do you guys have any tactics or anything that you've particularly learned so you come across as genuine and not sleazy?
I think I'm going to use the analogy that you used earlier about flirting. I think normally salespeople, really good salespeople, are really, really good at selling. Like you understand that very, very, very thin line that you mentioned. I think, of course, you have to be emphatic, but you really need to know your worth. It's like with everything. It's just like, hey, like I'm A class, you may as well be with an A class. It's exactly the same thing. And I think just putting yourself as a valuable proposition, just, well, in this case, it's not yourself, it's the company, of course, but trying to mention all the good points that your company have and everything that we can be lacking. And at the end of the day, I would say, like flirting, the really, really hard bit is to get the first date, then everything is easy. So just to get someone on the phone and speak for a few minutes is a really, really good way to start. Then it's way easier to start building trust, like we were talking earlier. Quite philosophical again.
For me, it's quite simple. Just don't use a script.
Yeah.
As soon as you have your sales guys using scripts, you start having the teleoperator effect. Basically, you just dial one number, say a few words. Okay, fine, nice. From my point of view, that little introduction should be done by marketing. Sales is for selling.
Mm-hmm.
So using a script, I know some people that it has worked with them. Normally, the insurance business is quite like that. You have a script, you read it through, and you call the next person. For us in the B2B world is completely different. You need to know your client inside out. You need to above all mirror the guy that you're talking with, and just keep on repeating yourself in terms of how many work and how many effort you're putting into it. Every time that we get a new commercial over here, they try to get like sort of like the magic potion. Like, okay, but what do I have exactly to do in order to get sales, to get clients? From the start, we know that guy is not going to make it. You just need to get in, start talking with a guy, realize what their actual needs are, and try to meet them. It's just that simple or that complex.
Yeah, being a little bit, I would say a lot, really target oriented is very important. Like it's like what we talk with the team, just like, okay, what you're trying to get out of this call with this client, I don't know. Just like, what do you need to sell? Oh, I need a reference of the part number of the machine I'm trying to sell. Just like, okay, then that's the aim of your call. It's very important to have an aim before you start. And normally it can be the same or it may not be the same. For us, like right now, calls is like completely different. Just like, how can I get a stronger connection between logic and whoever client it is. So, but for people when starting out, just being really, really target oriented, I think is a very good thing to do.
So you need to get 30 meetings in place there. So then you need to figure out and reverse engineer how many essentially top of funnel leads and conversations you need to have it place. Generally, we times all of our numbers by 10. So if we want to get 3 sales, we need 30 meetings. We need to have 300 initial touch points. So that might even be interest in conversations and just email send outs or messages on Instagram, or just picking up the phone the old classical way to get those people in place. And that's really what I think a lot of new salespeople miss out. They're trying to look for the as you said, trying to be the Harvey Specter, trying to be this diamond in the rough. But the thing that a lot of us miss out on, and this is what I did myself as well, when I look at my best periods in business, is when I'm doing the numbers. And I guess the point I'm getting to is, if you take that time to actually drill down the numbers, then that's important. Gonzalo, just when we're off video, you mentioned a really cool concept that you guys do within your business.
Yeah. So what we realized at the beginning was that mentoring junior salesmen was quite hard. But we realized, hey, let's make some numbers and let's show it to everyone. And we realized that for every call that every junior guy, we're talking about juniors, not seniors, they make, 2 months later they get 7 quid in their pockets, not in the companies, but in theirs, just because of the commission. So it hit us at the beginning, even if you don't know what you're doing. Even if you don't know the product, just go out and do it. Just learn by experience. Your first sale is gonna come, after a couple of months, and from there to the stars. You just need to keep on thinking about what your target is and using numbers to realize that every target that you hit is going to be really good for you and is going to give you some money, is what normally motivates the junior salesman.
Yeah, I think in sales it's very important to understand the compounding interest. So basically, every work that you're doing today, you're going to see in 2-3 times, like in 2 or 3 months' time, like then it's about compounding. If you don't do, like, if you're not a bad person, because I think, like, if you're a really bad person, you're 100% going to lose the client. If you're a good person and you treat your client well, you actually deliver on what you promised, you will just add up to the pile of your clients. And then it's about you realizing what's the most profitable way to have a look at it. Like, do I want to have like 100 clients, or do I want to have like 20 really large clients? And then it's just about you defining how you want to work, because everyone is a little bit different. Like, some people can manage like 80 clients and make like really, really small turnover out of them. And some other people will be absolutely brilliant, like account managers. They work with 5 clients and that's all they need. That's all their efforts go to. They'll absolutely go. But yes, compounding in terms of like doing the work is absolutely the way to go.
Yeah, but what Javi just said about not being a bad person, we realized in one of our first workers, he was in sales. He was incredibly good by getting clients and signing them off for the first order, but he never managed to get them on board as a repeated business.
Why do you think that was?
What, sorry?
Why do you think that was?
Yeah, this is where it comes. The more that we met him, the more that we realized that, I don't know if we can say swear words here.
Go for
it. He was a dick. And if he's a dick to his colleagues, he's a dick to the client.
100%.
Because maybe with your boss, you just behave, just because at the end of the day, they are the ones paying. But you need to be super conscious about the people that you get on board. One cool shark can kill the entire life of an office. And I think that it took us way too long to realize. But right now we are too short. So right now, in terms of hiring, the last stage that we do is just having a beer with the team. It's like, okay, let's get relaxed.
Let's see how they work. Let's see how they actually behave. Like, what do they do? Like, they don't even have to drink. Like, one of the last person that we hired, like, we went downstairs to the restaurant. We had a beer, entire team. She was the only one who was interviewing. Like, obviously, she was like really advanced in the interview process, and she didn't have a drink. And we were like, okay, someone different, but like such a sweet person. Just like, we may as well bring it on board. I think, like, normally people tend to think that you have to be a dick to be successful, and from my point of view, is that it is absolutely the opposite. Like being a dick, like it's gonna make you struggle. You're gonna have to work 10 times harder. I'm not saying that you're not gonna be able to be successful, but you're just gonna have to work 10 times higher. People want to work with nice people. At least I want to work with nice people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're spot on, and I think about the point you said about poison. I always think if you drop a bit of poison in a soup, then you're not going to eat any of the soup. You're not going to try and eat around it because it's completely contaminated. And I don't know what business leader it is, but he was saying whenever he hires people, he takes them to a local restaurant, they order their food, and because he's got a great rapport with the restaurant, he tells them to intentionally mess up their order to see how they respond to the waiter or waitress. And it's just such a really good, easy litmus test. And I remember I had a guy in our team 3 years ago, and we had to let him go after 2 months. And I thought this guy was going to take us to new heights, but exactly what you said, he was a dick to people. And it would be just small little patterns that I would look out for, and I knew by the end that he was a dick because he tried to jump on a meeting with me while I was on a meeting with another guy, and he asked for this meeting to bitch about this guy, and I couldn't believe it, and I just thought, wow,
Yes.
I'm not here to be a parent. Your colleagues work with each other.
Yeah, 100%.
I always keep on repeating the same thing over and over, day in day out. The worries outside cannot be inside.
100%.
We're all in the same ship. We've realized it right now that we cover the entire Europe. As soon as we sign one client in one country, we can sign him off in every single country. So it's far more rewarding, both for the firm, but above all personally, to work with nice people. There's people that you want to be around, people that you will actually have a beer with and or have a walk with. It gets you into a nicer vibe. When you come to the office, you are far happier. When you go home thinking that the next day is not going to be the worst day of your life, just because you're going to be doing something that you like with people that you like.
100%. I agree.
I just think is not even just being a business owner or a boss, but actually being a leader is completely different. And I've tried so many tactics and techniques that I genuinely actually want to do with clients and team members. For instance, a girl who used to work in our team, she used to ride horses when she was younger. She started taking up the hobby again. I called up the horse stables, paid for her first horse riding session. And it's not even the value of how much that cost me or the business, but it's those small detailed nuances. It wasn't like I sent her a bunch of flowers. It was something so specific that on a Tuesday she said, "Oh, I'm starting horse riding again. Oh, what's the name of the stable?" And it's intentionally, or you guys remembering a client's birthday, and then when it's that client's birthday, sending them a card which is handwritten. These are the small details that go a long way. And I think people know if you're sincere or if you're bullshitting them.
Yeah, yeah. That's and it's really simple to get a hand into what the other guy is, regardless if it's client or worker or your boss.
Yeah.
It's really easy to see if he's just a good person or not. And at the end of the day, we spend 8 hours minimum working a day. If you're a business owner, I think it's
Considerably larger.
yeah. But at the end of the day, what you do, the things that you want to be involved, the people that you want to see, you just want them to be nice. I think that we're currently getting into a situation which, I'm sorry to use a swear word again, but if you're not a dick, you're not someone to follow. Just like you were mentioning before with Andrew Tate. It's just like, yeah, you have to be super impulsive and super aggressive with everything in your life just because you're a man. Like, no, mate, chill. It's not saying that you don't have to be aggressive from time to time. Yeah, that's needed. But just being nice makes your life far easier, and your business goes far better. If you're a guy that your clients don't want to speak with, you will never sell them. 100% sure.
Absolutely. So I've got a question for both of you now. You guys are identical twins, and it probably took me about, I don't know, 2 years to tell you guys apart. No, I'm joking. I've got other friends who are twins, and there would be times I'd look at them and think, oh, who's who? But now I can safely say between you guys and these guys that I can tell all of you apart. So what advice would you each give to your 20-year-old self? So someone younger who's listening to this, who wants to be successful in business, who I guess this podcast has moved a bit away from just business, but a bit of life philosophy, which I really enjoy.
Yeah.
What advice would you just give to a 20-year-old Gonzalo and Javi?
Do you want to go first?
I will say, no pressure. Just keep on going. Just start something that you love and just do it for fun. And at some point, it will get into a business. You think?
I think I can answer for you, Javier.
What would you say?
Let the future Javier worry about it.
Yeah, I'm a really, really, really big believer in let the future Javier worry about it.
That was
And I've
your
said
saying
it
at
quite a
university.
lot at university. Like, I only deal with really, really urgent matters. Like, I think I'm very good at problem solving and
You are? I agree.
identifying them. And I always believe, like, if it's not a really big problem, I'm not going to deal with it. And I'm going to be completely relaxed. I'm going to sleep really, really well. So I would say, for me personally, if I was face to face with Javier, 20 years old, I would say, one, follow your gut, 100%. And the second one, which is very in line with what you said, is you would only understand the story when you finish the book. So keep going.
Philosophical again.
Yeah. I think that's, like, so many times, like, so many things happen, like, unexpected, and you don't really want to see it. And at the end, it turns out well. Like what Cristinita, our sister, says quite a lot, and I've copied from her. Like, she's extremely talented. She always says, if it doesn't end well, it's not the end. And I think I'm a really big believer. Like, so many things that you can see that right now a disadvantage are gonna be your biggest advantage in 2, 3, 5 years time, 100%.
Yeah.
But you need to wait until 2, 3, 5 years to actually understand it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think that experience is the polite name of mistakes.
Yeah.
If you make many mistakes, at the end of the day, you'll be experienced.
100%.
Why not? Right now, we are in our late 20s. Imagine how it will be when we are in our late 30s. We're going to be very experienced, and if we just keep going, and that's what I will say to everyone: just keep going. You'll be successful. Just
Yeah. Whatever success means to you, like,
yeah, you'll get
like
it.
we were saying before, like, happiness, success, it very depends from one person to another. So just keep going, just follow your gut, and you'll be okay. 100%. What was for you, Joe? Like, is this a question that you've answered before several times, I guess?
Well, I ask every guest who comes on now what advice they would give to their 20-year-old self. And I guess I come from a bit of a philosophical lens to yourself. I read a lot of Stoicism, and I'd like to think I try to lead a Stoic life. I think I like the just thought of just keep going. And you spoke about growth as being 1% better every single day. And for me in my life, I have a set of non-negotiables where I'll read every day, I'll meditate, I'll do press-ups, and just things in my life that I just think I'm not competing against you, or I'm not competing against you. I'm just competing against myself. And if I can just be in this constant journey of getting better every single day, I don't need to see the end of the road. All I need to see is the next step in front of me, then the next step in front of me. And that, for me, eventually will be good enough. And as long as I give my best all the time, then you know what? If I fail, and as your sister said, failure it's not fatal, it's not final, and it's just a
Yeah,
case of
yeah,
going over and over again. And I think one of the key characteristics of anyone, whether it's an entrepreneur, an athlete, or just a family member, is just to be resilient, really.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%. The keep going is really, really important. I think now, if we linked to what we were talking a little bit earlier about social media, I think it was outside the podcast actually. Like, I think social media has given us like such instant gratification, like so quickly, that by now we feel that a year is a really, really, really long period. When a year is nothing, like you just let it, let it go. Slowly, everything will grow up. Like so many times, like we think, wow, we're going so slow. And then we think like, wow, have you realized where we were like 1 year ago or 3 years ago? Just like, wow, we've come a really, really, really long way. Like you're not able to see it until you've gotten there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that learning to gratificate yourself in your victories and to don't be too hard on your faults or your mistakes is extremely important.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely mandatory if you want to do something that is meaningful. If you push yourself too hard when you make a mistake, you're gonna end up really bad psychologically.
Yeah. 100%.
And if you don't learn how to enjoy the victories of the day a day, like, hey, we got a new client. Well, you have 300. Why are you celebrating? Well, because we got a new client. You just need to keep on focusing on the positive and addressing on the negatives, and you should be it.
Yeah, I think there is a bit of a mental struggle, like I would say, like even worldwide, like with anxiety, which from my point of view is just people who think too much in the future, and from depression, which is people who think, from my point of view, too much in the past. So like learn to live like the day a day, enjoy your day a day is so important. Like you cannot be looking at the next weekend. Like if you every single day, like if every Monday you're thinking on a Friday you're doing something wrong, like you may need to look for something else. Like it's not like don't be resilient, just don't be stupid. Like don't waste your time, don't waste your life. I think we only get one shot. You may as well enjoy it.
I always say that if you hate Mondays, then automatically you hate 1/7 of your life. Now, if someone said that to you in a hypothetical state where you stood away from your body and you were a secondary source to yourself and said, hey, this person over here hates 1/7 of their life, you'd think that is so stupid, that is so irrational. There's no real justification to it. And I get it. There's a lot of people who have pigeonholed themselves and they're stuck in a job or a relationship that they really don't want to be in. And I can sympathize with that. I mean, I can empathize with it. I was in a job before which I really didn't like. And I think, and I hope that this podcast can help people, because all of us were in the same position. We were all in jobs we may or may not have liked. And we ended up starting our own businesses. And it was so cool because I came over to see you guys nearly 3 months ago now. And just to see the way how you guys think and how you're just running your company is amazing. And it makes me really proud to say that we're friends. But there's so many people there who I wish that, and we were talking about this before this podcast officially started, and we just said, guys, we have to press record button.
The record button, yeah.
There's so many people who I speak to in walks of life, and I tell them, yeah, I've got my own business. They're like, oh man, how did you do that? And I just think, okay, well, start with something you have experience in. So, for instance, I know a guy who used to be in the military. Can you use that competitive advantage to then start a business that then helps people with maybe fitness? As we all know him, Miles, who went to
Yeah.
Birmingham as well, he's done that exact same thing. And he's had the exact same tools as all of these other people who are in that same position, give or take, but he's made it happen. Why? Because he wants it badly enough. And I think that's a lot of what it's about. And entrepreneurship might not be the thing that you want, but I believe that this is a Japanese concept called ikigai, so it's figuring out what your purpose is in life, that every human should be working towards something that gives them a bit of fuel. And for a lot of people, it's their family.
Yeah.
Agree.
So I've got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Books. Now, we've kind of got a book club here. What are your top 3 book recommendations? Now, this can be in any genre, but if we take it as any genre and then we kind of pigeonhole it to business books, what 3 business books, first off, would you say are non-negotiables for people to read who want to be successful in business?
I think I don't tend to read many business directly books. I may read like some economic books that are not necessarily like business related. One business book that I'm actually reading right now, I haven't finished it yet. I only started reading like a couple of weeks ago, and I'm really enjoying it. I think it's brilliant. It's Never Split the Difference from
What's
Chris
that?
Voss. Yeah, and I found it like, wow, this guy is amazing. And I realized
Oh, good.
we were teaching our team like so many things that this guy is really able to put into words. Like so many things into a negotiation are very, very difficult to explain. Chris Voss makes this example of a really senior policeman who's really able to calm down people.
I finished reading it last month.
Yeah, I found it like
Second
really,
time.
really, really
Oh, good.
interesting. In terms of business, I would say that's a must as well. Moving a little bit away from business, but I think is really related. I think *Sapiens* is a book that everyone should read because it really tells you where we are coming from. At the end of the day, it's really important to understand like where humans actually come from, how we have developed, like understand a little bit what happened before the Industrial Revolution, which was basically the Malthusian trap, and those are things that we like the majority of people don't really understand. I think you can really focus into business. So automation is really important, for example. And then the third. I think, and I'm going to go again. I think you were talking before about Stoicism. I read, like, actually, after you told me, like, hey, I really like this book about Stoicism, like the Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor, the Diary, and
Meditation.
I really
Meditations.
meditations.
Yeah, I read Meditations as well.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it gives you an edge. Like business is not just numbers, like 100%. Like it's a completely set of skills that you need to have. I did really enjoy it, and I think the idea of only focusing on the things that you can actually control is very important.
Okay. I'd say I'll give you just 2. One from a very economic point of view. That is The Capital. The newer version is from Thomas Piketty, because it gives a real understanding of how modern economic works. Modern economics is really fun because I may not own a house, but I may be able to tell my investors that I have 3 because I'm gonna get the money. So it's a complete nightmare. And
Sounds like a tech bubble.
yeah, it helped me out to realize that everyone is playing under those terms, and you may be able to just use it. So you have 2 options: whether you stay complaining about how unfair the game is or how complex it is, or you can use it. And in terms of business side, what I actually do on my day-to-day basis, which is spearheading the sales effort of Logic. I would say Fishing for Fools. when I read it, it really changed my mind. What it basically says is that we all have a monkey in our shoulder that
Mm.
is telling us what to do, even if it's not good for us. So if we let the monkey on our shoulders have the government of our minds and our bodies, we'll be having pizzas every day, burgers every day, smoking a pack of cigarettes a day,
Or weed.
drinking heavy tones, doing cocaine, getting wasted absolutely every day. It's really easy to get into a vicious circle. But what it also says is that it's really easy to get out of that circle and start a really good circle. So let's put an example. Okay, so I hate my job. I got back home, and I speak very bad to my partner. Why? Because I hate my job. I hate my life. Because I've had a fight with my partner right now. I want some gratifications. I want something, some dopamine, some rush. So I spent 3 hours scrolling, and I ended up having a burger for dinner. When you have a burger for dinner, because it's too heavy, you don't sleep well, and the next day you feel even worse. That will be a vicious circle. But as soon as you do one thing right, you break it. So imagine that even though if you hate your job, you come back home and you say something nice to your partner. How is she gonna react?
Mm.
It's gonna be nice back to you. Hell, you might even have sex. Okay, they will the day will change completely. You will have a nice sleep, quiet sleep, with a peace of mind. You will wake up, and the next day, hey, work doesn't seem to be that bad. So I think that above all, if you have to choose one, just go for fishing for fools, because it helps you realize what the monkey on your shoulders are, and just try to avoid them.
I haven't heard it, fishing for fools before. I haven't
Yes.
heard of it before, but I'll give it a read. It sounds fairly similar to, I don't know if you guys have read the Chimp Paradox.
Nope.
Similar concept, but it says we have a chimp in our brain, and it's basically irrational. It's illogical. It makes a lot of emotive decisions as opposed to being more rational, logical. And I remember, this is away from that book, but what you're talking about there is you've got an upward spiral and you've also got a downward spiral. And I can't remember exactly how the graph looked, but it was a case of exactly what you spoke about. So for some people, and these are techniques that are used in uh, psychology, psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, but it's just a case of making your bed could be the first thing. And that's something that Jordan Peterson says: just make your bed in the morning, because that sets the tone for the rest of the day. And getting into this place where, and this is, I'm not a psychologist, obviously, but whenever I hear from people close to me who are in a bit of a slump, just figuring out what are the smallest things you can pick up instead of trying to pick up a 200 kilogram rock, which you won't be able to do. If you could just pick up little pound rocks over and over again and just chuck them over there, well, within a few days, a few weeks, you'll just see a pile of that. And that, to your point, Javier, that's when things compound. And
Yeah.
I think if we're all human and we all admit it, we have all been in bad mental spaces where we're not feeling our best selves, where we're being lazy, we're not being the most productive. But it's a case of, okay, acknowledging that, having the people, which some of us don't have that around us, which is really unfortunate, but having people around us to say, hey, what can I help you with? And I think that's really important as well.
Yeah. Like I stay with the last bit that you said. I think it's really, really important nowadays to have a very strong social circle. And I don't mean a big one. I mean a really strong one. Like you really need people like who really want to see you succeed.
Mhm.
Like if you have people who don't want to see you succeed, mate, you're gonna have a really big anchor that you're gonna have to get rid of, unfortunately. But that's what it is, and I think having that strong like social circle is going to help you develop a better pattern. And I'm not saying don't go out. I love going out, and I love having a drink. And we've been having a drink, like we were having a drink a few months ago. We really enjoy it. We went to some traditional parties, which were absolutely brilliant. You need to enjoy life. But that's another thing, like waking up on a Monday and doing a line of cocaine, which is something that I've actually seen, it is another completely different thing. Like you really need to be able to find that balance. And I think having really good social cycle is really important.
Yeah, massively. I think of my social circle and who I share that with as my energy. And you've got energy vampires, and you've got people who, and this is what I love about you guys. And when I came out to visit you, I felt inspired. I didn't feel as though I left and thought, I'm such an idiot, or this guy is such an idiot, because we've all got people in the past who, and it's a shame to say it, but at times you laugh at them, not with them. You're like, man, that's funny, but what are you doing? And you kind of just want to give your friend a nudge and be like, man, come on, you're doing that shit when you were 17, 18, but we're still doing it 10 years on. I don't want to particularly be there. And I'm not judging you for it. Well, I guess indirectly I am, but I think a good friend and a noble friend will turn around to that friend and say, hey, is this actually the version you want to be? But again, that's maturity, and some people take a bit longer to get there. I've got a bit of a shifted question for you guys.
Okay.
It's kind of around resilience, but you may or may not have had it. I assume you have, because you've been in business for a while now. But have you had a moment in business where you just thought, let's just quit, let's just finish this?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was it?
It was like a year after we started, we realized we literally had no money.
Yeah.
Was this 2019?
I think it was. Yeah. Was it 2019 or 2018?
Yeah, we literally had.
I'm not too sure about the exact year.
Anyway.
But we had no money, like at all. Like literally, we had like 2,000 in the bank of the company. We, after like spending an entire day looking at each other, saying how stupid we are and that we cannot make it. It was like, okay, mate, let's stop. Let's pause. Okay, let's go up. Let's go for a walk. Let's have a beer, because sometimes
You can afford it. Yeah.
yeah, that was that was pretty much what we could afford. Let's sit down and let's think it through. We got together. I was just like, mate, how much money do you have in your personal bank account? It's like, oh, I have like,
I remember this time.
I have like 3K. Well, I have like 2. Should we just give it a go? Like, okay, so we already have nothing.
Yeah.
Can we make it? It's like, yeah, well, why not? And after more than one beer, we made the transaction into the company, literally giving out everything left that we had.
Yeah.
And a week later, we closed one of the largest deal up to the date of the company. So it was like complete luck, and we just realized, mate, however bad this gets, we stay.
Can you share the value of that deal?
It was 56K on margin, so it was like for a small company starting.
That was a really large deal.
Yeah.
For us at that time, that was crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it was right when we were at the breaking point. Like, okay, we are not gonna be able to make it.
Yeah, I remember that afternoon, like early night, late afternoon, like we're talking like, hey, how much money we have to put together, and I think it was like, I think we had like less than 2K or something like that. Like it was ridiculous. Like we had no money left. We had to spend it all. We had to get by through the rest of the month. Just like, mate, we're going to have to negotiate for 1,900 because we need 50 quid to finish the month. So that was it. And hopefully it paid out. And but that was challenging.
Yeah, it was.
That's I can feel the energy there, because I think, like all of us, I've been in those positions multiple times, and it normally is the case when your back is up against the wall. Somehow you make it what happens. So look at you guys now. Testament to you guys. How many guys are part of the team now?
Right now we have 12, and we, as direct employees, full time on employees. Sorry, in Logic, and we have firms that they lend us people to do everything that is not our core business.
Yeah.
So how many?
Wouldn't be able to say.
It depends.
No, so it depends a lot on. So basically, they give us a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
So for some projects, we may need some
Yeah.
people, and for some of the projects, like we may not need any of them, and that's what we find.
Mhm.
We're trying to get like what we want is our core business to be within Logic, and that's where we spend the majority of our energy right now, is really mentoring and making sure that the business has the right tools to keep moving the boat. And so, I think it's a completely different job that we were doing like a few years ago. Like,
I'd say 2 years ago.
yeah, 2 years ago, it has changed a lot. The actual business that we do right now, completely different skill set. It's good that we've done it before, so people can see that we've done it and they understand that we're not telling them just to piss them off. We're telling them because we've been there, we've made the mistakes that they are about to make. Sometimes we let them make the mistakes so they actually learn it. But yeah, it's completely different. And
Yeah, it's just changing. Our core idea since the beginning was doubling every year. At the beginning, it wasn't much. It was like really low numbers. Right now, it's getting to a considerable amount.
Yeah. It's getting a little bit scary, but
Yeah.
we'll do it.
That's cool. So on that, what we do with every podcast is we scour the internet, mainly Reddit, and get a question from Reddit. So
Okay.
this reads: a fellow entrepreneur asked, and this is on purpose, I'm struggling to hire good talent. What process would you recommend to hiring exceptional talent, and how to retain them?
I think we lost you there.
We
Joe,
lost
sorry.
you briefly. Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sure. So it reads, a fellow entrepreneur asked, I'm struggling to hire good talent. What process would you recommend to hiring exceptional talent, and how to retain them?
Okay. So for us, what we're doing right now, we're starting using data. So we post some job online and like LinkedIn, call it whatever you want to do. And the first part of the interview process is a negotiations skill test. I'm talking for sales candidates, which are the ones that we hire the most. Then as well, we do a mnemotechnic test, psychology test, so we can actually start understanding how they think. Like, you need all the different tools in your wardrobe. Like, you need a hammer, and you also need a nail. You need very different tools, and try to find what the best thing.
So just to interrupt you, is this specifically for a sales role? Or is this for anyone who joins?
Anyone
Who joins. So the negotiation exam is only to the sales guys.
Right.
For technical guys, we have technical bits of exam. We're using just platforms. It's pretty cheap. It's like £1,000 a year. I think it's quite cheap. We basically scout. We scout. Unfortunately, here in Spain, talent is hard to get by.
The talent that we need.
Yes.
So the talent that we need are mostly internationals. Like to cover Spanish positions is really easy.
Yeah.
To cover international positions is a lot more challenging because we believe on-site work, for example. That's like one of our one of our immovable like pillars. So we need to find someone in Seville who's willing to take the risk to move to a startup and then just getting through. Like learn to mentor them, like with completely different cultures, completely different way of thinking, and I think that's a little bit what we do.
But yeah, the first bit is just a test, just to see if the candidate is the right tool that you need for that moment.
Yeah,
So sometimes I have the belief that you can get a bad employee, but you cannot get 10 bad employees.
yeah,
If you have 10 bad employees, very likely you're failing as a manager, which is something that we've done, by the way. We are sort of learning on the job.
yeah, 100%.
So we do feel like, oh my God, how can it be that only half of them are actually like making it? And it was our problem. It wasn't them. We weren't giving them like good directions. We weren't ready to lead them, to be honest.
Yeah.
We are just learning, and we'll keep on learning for a long time.
Yeah, 100%. I think there is a very, very big difference between being a team lead and the actual owner or whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, normally team leads, what they do is just like, oh, our boss says that we need to do this, and then they'll enforce it. But our job is to convince people to do it. So it's a little bit different. And 100% we didn't have that skill set. We've been learning. I think people are doing really well right now. In part, obviously, because they put a lot of work into it, but also because I think we're learning a lot to manage them. I think that's a very good point. In terms of in terms of attraction, I think we are really laid back company. Like we're not very hierarchical. Like we want to hear everyone out. At the end of the day, a major attraction of talent right now is money. So we make sure our guys gets paid more than our competition, especially the good ones.
Yeah, I think that that's something that you can do in the south of Spain.
Yeah.
I feel that if you try to do that in the UK, you will be broke within a month.
Yeah.
But in the south of Spain, it's just doable.
Yeah, it's very doable. Like wages, like average wage is really, really low. I would say even in Madrid as well. Like overall Spain wage is fairly low. So you can just compete by raising a little bit wages, and you get that extra talent that you get by 2, 3, 4 extra K is really considerate. And I think we want to keep on investing in our employees. The problem if you can think about like training and mentoring of employees from two ways. Oh, I'm spending so much money and so much time, because at the end of the day you spend time is money. So especially our time is worth a lot. Well, that's what I'm saying. So basically we spend a lot of time to train them. So you can look, oh, I'm losing so much money. What if they leave? But if you didn't spend that amount of money and they stay, you have an even bigger problem. So you need to first attract the best talent. I think mainly it comes from a fairly laid back sort of like good atmosphere and good pay. And then to retain them, I think it's a lot of like making them feel a part of the company.
Agreed.
I think culture is so amiss nowadays with new small startups and businesses, and they don't think of it as anything. And I've always said this to myself, I don't expect employees to be with me in 5-10 years time, and I've used the wrong word there. I never ever call people, employees, I call them my team members, because at the end of the day, we're human. And it's not a case of I own you. I just pay you for your time between these hours to perform this function. And it's best to have a good work environment as opposed to one that doesn't work well. And one thing that we use whenever someone joins is I have them read what we call our black book. And this is essentially our non-negotiables and our principles of whenever someone joins, these are our cultural values. And we allow anyone in the company to come in and update it themselves. And at the bottom of it, where every team member has joined, they then put their name and they put in one of their non-negotiables. So it's just something that's very intricate to them. And I guess maybe the most attuned closing question to both of you is, between the both of you, what are your non-negotiables, not just in business, but in life? What's your number one non-negotiable?
Wow. Wow. That's a really good question.
Let's say maybe, I think loyalty is very important.
Yeah. But I think that I'm going to stay with your philosophical opening. I think be happy.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to copy you in that as well.
Yeah, 100%.
I'd say that so long if you're happy and if the guys that you're working with are happy, you're just going to have a great life.
Yeah, I'll take on that.
I'll be with it. You're happy with it?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, just be happy.
Well enough said. Guys, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. It was a pleasure to have the first twin duo to come on. Where can you guys find you? Do you want to tell them any more about the business?
So they can find us pretty much in every social web page. Not of the company. We realized that within our market to have a social print apart from LinkedIn, it was something negative.
Yeah, it was a little bit detrimental.
Because most of our clients are slightly older than we are. So they think that Instagram and Snapchat and all of that is what the kids do. So we mainly use LinkedIn, but we make many posts. So I'll be happy if people follow us.
Yeah,
and also
the name of the company is Logic Automation Supply, actually. Yeah, feel free to give us a hit.
And just before this, you guys mentioned that you're looking at starting your own podcast soon. What will it be on?
So we want to talk a little bit about everything, mainly about stoicism and being just happy. Of course, we're business owners, and very likely we're gonna talk a lot about businesses and taxes.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, money is really important when there is a lack of it. As soon as you have money, you just realize that, okay, it is cool to have money because it gives you options, but it's not the most important thing.
Yeah, happiness is. Yeah, hopefully we can launch our podcast by the end of September. It's something that we're working in, we've also launched a new firm a couple of weeks ago. So we're working on it. Thank you. So everything is a work in progress. And thank you very much to you, Joe. I really enjoyed this time. I think it was brilliant to catch up and hopefully get to people to learn a little bit of what we do. And if we help someone else, I'll be really, really happy.
Yeah, and Joe, you are officially invited to our podcast. As soon as we started, and we'll do it the other way around.
Well, I really look forward to that. That will be tons of fun. Are you guys doing it in both Spanish and English, or English or Spanish?
We're gonna try with both. Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you do both English and Spanish, you will have everyone on board. You could interview leading figures in Colombia as well as business owners in the UK. So
Yeah.
you will have a full view of everything.
Well, there we go. I need to start brushing up on my Spanish. Una más cerveza, por favor.
Three more. Tres más.
Guys, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure. Take care.
Thank you very much, Joe. Have a good day.